Okay, sounds good.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another core unit Launchpad session. Today we're at number 17. My name is Juan. I'm the facilitator from the Sustainable Ecosystem Scaling core unit. And today we have a group that's very special to us because if they are going to be voted in, that would mean that they are the first successful incubee coming out of the SES incubator. So it's something I'm personally very happy about. In this case, we are with the DAX core unit, so everything development and UX. They will be speaking more about their application, what they're doing, and how they're trying to bring value to Maker. So Phil, if you want to introduce yourself and take it away.
Cool, sounds good. Let me share my screen. Okay. I assume you guys can see my screen, yeah?
Yes.
So my name is Phil Bain. I'm the facilitator for the Ducks core unit. And thank you guys for joining me today, joining our team and letting us speak about what our team is up to. So we'll jump right into it. So first, a little introduction to our team. We are the development and UX core unit, otherwise known as DUX. We have 6 members of our team. 4 of us are developers. That's Tyler, Adam, myself, and Rafa. And Tiago is our product designer, and Dennis is our product manager, who just joined us recently and is going to be helping us a lot with our prioritization and roadmap, which we'll get to a little bit later. So first, let's talk about our mission, and I'll give you our mission statement: enabling the best-in-class decentralized decision-making for the Maker protocol by providing a meaningful user experience for all governance participants. So what does this mean? Well, we're going to break that down over the next several slides and talk to you about what that means to us and how we mean to go about to accomplish that. So first, in order to do that, we'll talk about our vision, which unpacks the mission a little bit. So the vision is to provide the best governance user experience following key governing principles. So these are really important to us: accessibility, neutrality, transparency, and verifiability, which is one of our new favorite topics on the team. So in order to do this, there are 3 points that we're going to follow, 3 main features of the vision, and that is facilitating the decision-making process, ensuring protocol and user security, and bringing the state of governance in the industry forward. So out of all of the initiatives that we have and everything that we move forward with, these are the ideas in mind as we go. So the first one of those, facilitating the decision-making process, we'll break that down a little bit. So what this means for us is providing easy access to information for users. So that can include showing MKR weight visualizations on polls and delegates pages, and showing MKR in support of an executive, and so on. So some of these are features that we've implemented already or we're planning on implementing. The next is facilitating discussion and collaboration. So this includes things like comments on the executive and polling pages. Right now there's comments on the executive, but we don't have a way to communicate for polling. So that's something that we want to look into, including external discussion links and also finding a way to embed discussions in the UI to reduce the friction there. And EPNS integration is another example of a way we're trying to kind of communicate actions related to governance to people that are interested. And then the third item, creating a frictionless user experience. So layer 2 voting, gas refunds, batch delegating. These are all possible avenues for us to help make things, ease the pain a little bit when it comes to participating in governance. The next topic is ensuring protocol and user security. So this includes avoiding governance manipulation and attacks, which can be accomplished by encouraging the maximum amount of MKR on chief at all times, ensuring availability of the governance UI and blockchain data. So perhaps decentralizing the UI, deploying it to IPFS, real-time monitoring of system health. We recently added Sentry to our application stack to get errors for system health and database problems, and encouraging participation and safe user behavior. So this can be done through just general good user experience and includes tooltips, FAQs, things like that.
Phil,
and then the last
sorry, you commented about EPNS. Maybe can you quickly say what it is and why is that important and how would it work?
Sure, yeah. And we'll touch on this a little bit later in the roadmap, but in order to clarify what EPNS is for those of you, let me find the tab here.
The previous one.
Yeah, here we go. EPNS integration. So they are the Ethereum push notification service, the third party, not related to MKR, but to Maker, but they reach out to us with a collaboration, and basically you can subscribe to events. So a lot of our contracts have events that are emitted. So for example, Chief, when you vote, things like that. So we'll be, when new executives are ending or beginning, we can sort of announce these events to people through the blockchain, rather than email signups or traditional subscription methods. So it's a more decentralized approach to notifying people about things that are happening with our system. So yeah, we've got a pilot program with them, and we'll be, if we're approving it, if we like what they've provided us, we will share it with the community and go from there. So, but yeah, that's on our roadmap. We'll talk about it towards the end of the slide as well, or as end of the presentation. So that being said, bringing governance forward includes nurturing a community of Maker enthusiasts. So for us, that's engaging users on Discord, being active on social media, inspiring the broader DeFi space. We want to share the innovations that we make, and also integrating with other tools that inspire us, or ways that we can partner with other people, kind of like the EPNS thing. So becoming more collaborative with the greater space, and getting people to be enthusiastic about Maker governance in that way as well. So we have a strategy to accomplish all of these tasks. The strategy is 5 stages, which we'll jump into. Discover, define, design and develop, deliver, and then analyze and reflect. So we'll talk about each of these individually, and we'll break it down a little. I know that's not super easy to read the graphic right now, but essentially this is a continuous iterative looping process with 5 stages that are broken down into 2 separate sequences. So for the first sequence is discover and define. And that's we have discover, which is a divergent phase where we uncover problems, discover new opportunities, and we're open-minded, brainstorming, that sort of thing. And then define is the convergence phase, where we come upon ideas for implementing a possible solution. So you can see that this kind of cycle allows us to take our ideas and run with it. The narrative is we take steps to understand what is needed, what we should do, and then the second step, we research the ways that we can take action on those. So to go through those steps in a little more detail, the discover phase, the first phase, which is proactively researching, ideating, and gathering insights from multiple sources. So quantitatively, this can include running surveys, analyzing user metrics data. For example, we use Mixpanel right now. We've been talking about open sourcing metrics, similar to the way it's done in DieStats, which is a really interesting concept. So that's something that we can look into in the future. And then qualitatively, we do internal meetings with a focus on feature discovery and competitor analysis. So to that respect, I have a few examples of some competitors that we've looked at and introduced some ideas. Is that a hand raise, or what is that noise? Is it somebody joining the meeting?
Yes.
Okay, sorry. I thought someone had a question. Yeah, just a few examples here of competitors that we've looked at. You can see this is the Polkadot substrate page, and they have similar things that we do, where the outcome prediction, the voting details, how much weight was put on those voted. So they have an interesting interface. They also have a comments tab, which they have an embedded Disqus Disqus link. So that's inspiration for us. Maybe we need to find a way to embed the forum post a little bit more into the governance UI. Indexed has a really cool voting power graph, voting power over time. This is something that we're also looking into. I think ours is going to look even nicer, but they have some very interesting properties of this page. And then this one, which is very interesting to us, is a communications tab, the discussions tab on DYDX. This looks very tightly integrated with their polling and their proposals. So this is some inspiration for us to draw on, because communication is a big topic that's come up with people that we've interviewed and talked to, and that's something that we want to really focus on as well. So on that note, another thing we did for qualitative research, we've done a series of one-on-one interviews with MKR holders and delegates. So in the last 3 weeks, we've had 4 casual conversations with people, but learned a lot, exploring sentiment and opinions on the maker governance system, how people use it, what can be improved, and so on. We've collected ideas for new features, and also importantly raised awareness of our team and our feedback channels. Because now that as the foundation is wound down and our team is moving forward, we want not everybody is aware of that, so we want to get out there as well. So some of the external research topics that we're looking for, obviously we want to stay on top of trends and developments in DeFi. We want to stay on top of our public communication channels, get feedback from the Maker Forum, all that kind of stuff. Some other kind of third-party solutions that are out there now, Snapshot, Boardroom, Tally, Commonwealth, these are gaining a lot of popularity. So we want to look into collaborations or just extract information from them. One thing important to note is we believe the security of the protocol shouldn't depend on third-party tools. So none of these suggestions are to replace any of our existing tooling, but just to kind of complement them a little bit. And then the ideation phase of our discovery phase is one of the things that we've done here is workshops with FigJam. So this is a screenshot from a really awesome FigJam that we did. We held in collaboration with SES. Our designer Tiago put this together, and it was a way for our teams to kind of figure out what things should be prioritized, what things interest us. We had long shot ideas and easy wins. And that was a really awesome session. And I think we're going to do a lot more stuff like this to kind of to really brainstorm and get creative and gain some insights. And an outcome of this FigJam session was the starting point for our roadmap. And also some of the new features we released in our most recent release came out of this ideation session. And another step in that is using Frill. So to capture ideas, we use Frill as our public idea board. We'll share that link with you guys in the chat. And but this is a really awesome new kind of way for us to get insight from the community as to what features are important to you. There's the upvoting mechanism, and Dennis has done a lot of work on getting that board cleaned up and getting it to work for us in a way that's useful. So work items in Frill are prioritized in accordance with the framework that's centered around our principles, and more impact on the prioritization a little bit, more on prioritization and roadmap a little bit later. But here's just a quick screen share for those of you that don't have the link. This is what the idea board looks like. It's similar to any kind of like upvoting system if you've been on Reddit or whatnot, and we organize it into topics, and there's different ways to display our roadmap. So again, having a public roadmap is kind of important to us. I'll get more detail on that in the prioritization section, but just we want to ensure that people understand that that's going to be how we move forward with our ideas. And then define is the convergent phase. So as I talked about earlier, this is where we come together to we understand everything that needs to be done at this phase, and now we just need to know how to make it happen and what action to take. So transforming our ideas into a work log, sharing our progress through comms channels, and validating our assumptions to create a product market fit. And so this is something that we can utilize the research that we've done at this stage. One example of a bad product market fit, if anyone remembers the Juicero controversy from a few years ago. If you don't remember, it was like a really overpriced, expensive juice machine that had a lot of hype. It was like $400 or $500, but really you could take the juice packets and just kind of squeeze the juice out yourself. And people came to realize that, and the product lost product market fit immediately and took a notice dive. So we want to use the research that we've done in the discover phase to avoid that kind of thing. And to do so, we have these 3 stages: plan, prototype, pivot, or persevere. So we plan to prioritize work items. We do prototyping, visual and technical explorations. Our team are all really talented and they're empowered to investigate new technologies, features, and ideas. And then at this stage, we decide, do we want to move forward, or do we want to drop the idea and decide that it's not relevant, pivot, and do something else. So that is the first cycle of the design, or of the 5 stages. I'll take a quick break. Excuse me. So at this stage, we can now execute our plan. So we've done the discover and the define. So we validated our assumptions through our designs and prototyping, and we can work together to complete this task. So you have the design and develop phase, which is the first step, and the deliver phase, which is the second step in this. And then finally, analyze and reflect, which is a kind of an epilogue, retro to the first 4 phases. So our dev processes are pretty standard. We work in a cadence, leveraging agile methodologies. We plan to use, or we are using, collaborative prototyping tools, following Web3 standards. Everybody on the team many of us are from the foundation, and all of us have experience with Web3 standards. So we're all, a lot of people have good experience with that. And then peer-reviewed code. It's, maybe should be a given, but not necessarily always the case. And just to point out here, we're still working on setting up all of these processes in a like totally seamless, frictionless fashion. That's why we have a new PM, Dennis, who's really enthusiastic about this kind of thing, and he's helping us set up all these processes. So we'll see these things will really like shake out and become just a well-oiled machine, I'm sure, fairly soon. So in this design aspect, so we leverage systems established at the foundation. We decouple the design and dev cycle. So the way that we work, our design system that we've created at the foundation that we brought into our core unit unblocks work by empowering both sides to work independently while still receiving continuous feedback. So the designer and the devs, our tooling allows us to kind of not be blocked by one another and instead work seamlessly together. Another step, important process for us is the continuous feedback loop. So we have a dedicated internal channel on our Discord. This is a screenshot from a conversation a while ago. Whenever we have new designs or new features, Tiago will present some different options and we can discuss them, vote on them, and so on. So our iterations are shared in this channel, and it allows us to kind of have this continuous feedback loop where we're working together constantly. This is one of our most active internal channels. So next we get to the delivery phase, and this is important for us to deliver quality work. This stage is all about putting the features in front of users. So how do we communicate our results to the community? So we've established this pattern where bi-weekly releases will be posting in Rocket Chat and our Discord. I know Rocket Chat's going away soon, but we'll have a channel in the new, whatever new emerges from that new communication platform. So that will be just for bi-weekly releases where there may not be major updates, but just every 2 weeks we plan on getting into that cadence. And then every so often we'll have notable releases that we will announce ad hoc. So in the Maker forum, we'll make a post on this. We'll post it in the Discord and Rocket Chat and just make a little bit more fanfare surrounding this type of release. So no like schedule on that kind of thing, but only when the features are ready, when we think it's something that's important that the community would be really inspired about. And one important aspect of this is demonstrating the motivation for the release. So here's a screenshot from our release that came out last week, or it was last week. And so the theme kind of this one is making informed decisions. So, we try to tie it all in, like why were the features that we worked on important? We want to give context on that to the community so they know why these things were necessary. And we give a little bit of context there as to, in this case, making informed decisions. We released a lot of visualizations for the portal and other things to assist people in that. And the last part of our QA, of our delivery phase, is the QA processes. So we, of course, have our testing features. We're really focused on testing. QA is something super important to us. We actually have a meeting later today to really discuss how we can improve our processes as much as possible. Our stack is comprised of a lot of moving parts. So we have application layer, which is our UI. We have middleware, which is the .js library. And then we have backend, which is the Gov polling database, and also the blockchain itself. So a lot of challenges there. So incorporating integration test, unit testing, and then manual testing, just using the app as a user would in order to maintain the best quality there. So again, automated delivery with CI systems. This is obviously standard, but for those who don't know, this is just, we have a continuous integration system. It allows us to deliver updates at any time. If we need to hotfix something or if we need to roll something back, we can do this instantaneously. We're monitoring system health. So like I said earlier, we set up Sentry, which is a third party that's used to monitor application errors and database errors. Of course, we're also creating documentation, guides, and technical diagrams to go along with our releases. And importantly, we have a narrow domain focus. So what I mean by that is our team is strictly focused on governance. We're not doing anything with auctions or any other submodule of the Maker protocol. So that's going to allow the entire team to focus just on this one product, which is going to get a lot more eyes and a lot more focus on that. So that should really help with the quality in the future as well. So we do one thing and do it well. And for us, that will be governance. Then this is an example of a technical diagram that Tiago put together for us when we released the vote delegation feature. So just this is the quality of sort of documentation that we want to deliver with releases. So when we put out new features that have complicated user flows, these are the sort of things that can come along and make it easier for people to comprehend. All right, and then the last and final stage is the analyze and reflect stage for our strategy. After delivering a product, we will, perform usage analytics, understand how they're using how users are using our application, run A/B tests, collect feedback from users to ensure that our solutions are in line with the mission and vision that we've been describing. So that was a big portion of what we wanted to talk about today, but I think it's important to get our processes out there and have people understand what motivates us and why and how we're going to do the work that we say that we're going to do. So moving on to everybody's favorite topic, we'll talk about the budget for our core unit. It's this is based off with help from the SES, and we've done a lot of work to define this as accurately as possible. So we have a few budget allocation items here. So our contributor compensation, we have 4 full-time senior engineers, 1 full-time product manager, and 1 full-time designer UX specialist. So the total cost of these employee compensations, or employees are contractors. So contractors often have to take care of health benefits, insurance, other expenses, which is why we justify this cost. Because if you're an employee, sometimes you're able to get benefits, benefits covered and so on. So for contractors, it's a little bit more difficult. Travel and conferences. Again, this is right here is based on 6 people going to 3 conferences per year at about $3,000 per person per conference. So conferences are a great way to keep retention and keep morale high. People love going out, meeting people, and it's a good way to get the team together to work on things as well. So we, in fact, are hoping to all go to the LisCon conference next month, and we're planning a team offsite workshop there, so we'll have a few days to work together as a team. And none of us have met in person. Well, actually, Tyler and I have met, but no one else has met before. So it'll be a great opportunity for us to get in the same room and work on some things. And now that traveling is a little bit easier, we'll be able to open that up a little bit. IT and subscriptions. So we're looking for $9,000 a month. This is high because of our software subscriptions, cloud services, analytics, and tooling. We have AWS. We've got databases, application monitoring. So we have a lot of expenses related to maintaining our IT infrastructure. Gas costs. So we try to do as much testing as we can on test nets. We're working on getting our Goerli deployment system set up. But at the same time, you have to test on mainnet a lot. And of course, that costs gas. So this allows us to test features on mainnet without spending our own money to, I think it was the other day we looked at creating a delegate contract that was almost $500 and gas was about 120 gwei. So yeah, that's an expensive cost for us to undertake. And the professional and legal costs. This is a big topic that we've been talking a lot lately with SES, and it's really important for us to cover our legal services and our financial services, our payment processor fees. We are working with a legal team to develop terms and conditions that we can apply to the front end because we want to protect our team members legally there as well. And contractor services, we may need to occasionally hire out contractors. DevOps, we've been working with the TechOps team as well, security auditing, quality assurance, stuff like that. We may need to reach out to people to get some additional help with those things. The one-time costs, this is a hardware welcome package that's intended to subsidize new tech equipment for team members, or office equipment, or remote working things. When you're working remotely like we all do, there's a lot of expenses that go into building out your work environment. So that's to help subsidize some of that cost. So this total cost here per quarter is $420,000. And then we've added this contingency buffer, which brings us to $483,000. And so our model of funding is basically a 3-month continuous runway. So we're asking for this 3-month runway up front when we create or when our MIP goes up to vote. And then from that point, each month we reevaluate the 3-month runway and we top up whatever is needed just to kind of get back to this new whatever we reevaluate with. So it's not like this money is spent all in 1 month, every month. It's budgeted for the year, and then we just top up as we go. And it's a conservative model. We plan on not using all of it, and anything we don't use, can go back into the DAO. So that's our budget and for compensation and for team expenses. And then we have MKR budget as well for our team for MKR incentive. So this is based on the SAES MKR compensation plan. It's very, not much has changed there from all the other core units that are using the same plan. So just one thing to note about this, it's a little different, is our team, we were working under the incubation period in June. That's when we started working with the SES. So we have applied our lock-in price from that period, which is 12.3 to 6.1. And so that's where we come up with that lock-in price. New additions to the team, of which we don't have any plans for just yet. But if we did, they would get the traditional trailing 6-month average like anybody else. So this is pretty much exactly like all the other teams are working. 3-year vesting period, 12-month cliff vest, and then every 6 months after the cliff vest. Okay, so that was the fun stuff. And now we get to the prioritization and roadmap. So this is actually the real exciting stuff to kind of give you guys a sense of where we're going and how we want to get there. So the prioritization, so relative prioritization of work items are on a public idea board in accordance with a framework that considers expected impact and effort. So work that aligns with our governing principles, which are accessibility, neutrality, transparency, and verifiability, is prioritized. And also we wanted to call out a special note to DAO-wide prioritization. So we know Long for Wisdom posted a really informative forum post recently about prioritization in a DAO and the challenges involved thereof. So we aim to align our prioritization framework with the DAO's priorities to the best of our ability. And once again, our PM, Dennis here, has a lot of enthusiasm for this topic. So he's going to be working on talking with LFW in the community in that prioritization thread, as well as helping us prioritize our work as closely as possible with that. So for our roadmap, one challenge that comes with being a sort of a Web3 team, Web2 teams have top-down strategy with static roadmaps. And with Web3 teams and DAOs, it's a little bit more difficult because of the fast-moving context. So similar to DeFi teams like Zapper, we want to adhere to continuous and public prioritization and planning instead of working in a static roadmap. So for us, this is going to be using our Frill idea board as sort of a public face to our roadmap and the prioritization. And that allows people to go in and offer their opinion and really collaborate with the community on how we want to work there. So that will always be something that is transparent from us and publicly available to everybody. But that being said, we don't want to give the idea that we don't have a delivery timeline for work. So we'll always have a delivery timeline for the immediate work that we're doing, like any other Web2 team. But as we prioritize things down the road, we don't look as far ahead. We want to make sure that we're agile enough to change up if the need be. And then, so here is the concrete stuff. This is our prioritized work for the rest of Q4. So there are a few items here. They're not in a priority order yet. So it's not like this is the priority. We'll be working on them, but these are the things that our team has kind of come together with and that we've got from the Frill board. This is a snapshot of that Frill board as we worked on it yesterday. We kind of synthesized some of those things. So just really quickly to go over some of this, adding more methods for manual verification of important data points. So this comes in light of what we dealt with last week with the difficult to verify maker weight. So we'll find ways to let people audit that and verify those things on the site. We want to add the on-chain effects tab that's been highly requested. We want to really look into how we can improve commenting and context building for polls and executives. So there's a lot of ideas there, and that's been a very popular request from people we've talked to. We're going to continue to improve our user account page, which we released last week. The landing page, we want to redo that. I think that has been a while since it's had a nice refresh, and we want to find a way that we can utilize the landing page to kind of funnel users into the platform. EPNS integration we talked about a little bit, but again, this is allowing us to provide people to subscribe and get notifications for events that are going on the protocol. And then we want to explore moving maker governance to L2 or leveraging L2s in some way. And this is a pretty big undertaking, but we're going to explore this process and see what that might take, and if that would be impactful for people to encourage people to get participating in governance. And then, like I said, we have a meeting later today after this to discuss our testing processes and improve that. That's a big deal for us, especially because in light of the issues that we ran into last week, we want to make sure that we are really tightening down that QA process, make it ironclad, fixing our deployment pipeline, and then auditing all of our third-party dependencies that we rely on and seeing maybe where we can decentralize some of that or remove things that aren't necessary for our security. So there you have it. That's the roadmap that we're looking at for the rest of this quarter. And that is the end of the presentation. So thank you all once again for joining and being here and letting me introduce our team. And now I can open it up for questions.
Nice. Thank you, Phil and team. Do you have any questions from the community?
Yeah, one that came up, I've been sitting on a couple of these calls and layer 2 has been discussed frequently. I would love to hear your perspective on solidifying talent within your team for layer 2 or collaborating with other core units for that purpose for governance.
Yeah, great question. And first of all, like our team is mostly front-end developers and as well as our designer and PM. So none of us are Solidity devs. So and also none of us are really DevOps when it comes to blockchain DevOps either. So this would definitely be a collaboration that we would be looking to have with the protocol engineering team and any other team, core units that are interested in talking to us. The first phase is definitely just an exploration phase and figuring out how it can be done, maybe bringing some of our ideas to various core units like the PE team or tech ops team and just learning about what it would take. We recognize that a lot of the hard work wouldn't be done by our team because we don't have that experience. So we would be needing to lean on like the Solidity devs and stuff like that.
Got it. Thank you.
So yeah, we'll be making more work for other teams. That's how.
Yeah.
Phil, can you maybe comment a bit on the legal side and why is this needed? Why a team like yours might be liable, and why is this a good practice to have this buffer there?
Yeah, definitely. So since our team we're all contractors and we're all over the world and we all have different jurisdictions. So we're not really like a legal entity at this point. And so when using the portal, there's a liability that people can do things that maybe they can lose their money in some way, or they can somehow suffer, financial losses, or even the protocol itself can be dangerously affected if something goes wrong. So we need to have legal coverage for us to protect us in case of some errors or something like that would happen if somebody lost their money or something happened to the protocol. We don't want to be sued, obviously, for that. So we need to come up with an entity that it's a limited liability entity that can sort of protect us from issues like that and make sure that we don't get financially in trouble.
Nice. I have a question. I guess it's more for Dennis, or might not be. But I was wondering if you can speak more about the openness and the transparency. If you guys are planning with this cadence that were mentioning, any open calls to discuss the backlog or how it's evolving, discuss features, get feedback. What are your plans regarding that?
Yeah, that's a great question, and I'm personally really excited about it because I think the way that especially DeFi teams need to work on something like this is very different from, let's say, a traditional Web2 company where you have like top-down strategy, right? And then you have static roadmaps, all that kind of stuff. I think in Maker, since we're working on consensus-based decision-making, and we're working on a space that just moves very quickly. And then I'm talking about the Maker DAO context, but also DeFi as a whole, right? So therefore, I think we need to look for, we need to use tools that match this context. I really like Frill because it allows us to do everything out in the open, right? The idea is that we're going to use it as a publicly available tool for anyone to give feedback or post ideas. It can also be used by pseudonymous users. And then we're actually going to use this to basically index all of the ideas that we have, or also the ideas that come from the team itself. And we're going to actually make sure that the prioritization exercise happens in this tool as well. So it will be open for everyone to see what the prioritized list is. It is still a work in progress because I joined the team quite recently, still setting everything up. But overall, the idea is we're going to have multiple ways for people to give feedback and share ideas and all that kind of stuff. Phil already mentioned the one-on-one interviews that we did. We plan to do a lot more of those, and the idea is to basically funnel all the insights and ideas onto that board and just make sure it's out there for everyone to see. And it also allows for us to keep people informed on the status of these cards, right? So if we plan something in a sprint, we'll just make sure that we comment it in that particular work item. And if we know when we're going to deliver it, then we can also add it there. And I don't know, I think that's a really cool way of working out in the open. And I think it matches our context.
Very nice. Hopefully the rest of the core units we all start going towards a more open model. That'll be great for everyone, I think. Are there any other questions from the rest of the community? Everyone's quite
yeah, I had a question. So I just joined actually recently. I was wondering how many tokens do you have to hold in order to be a part of the governing body?
That's a really good question. The amount of tokens that you hold is equivalent to your weight in the vote. So there is no minimum amount to hold, but however much you have will be the weight that you vote with. So if you have, say, a fraction of 1 MKR, your voting weight is a fraction of that. If someone else who has maybe 10,000 voting weight MKR. So in that respect, it's difficult. This is one of the challenges that we face. It's difficult to encourage people who have a very little amount of MKR to participate because, the gas costs alone make it not really worth it. And your impact, if you don't have a lot, you don't have a great impact. So this is one of the main reasons why we implemented the delegation feature. So if you are familiar with that, or in case you're not, you can delegate your MKR to an individual who can then vote on your behalf. So this is a good way for a lot of smaller MKR holders to sort of to collaborate, to group together and become like a larger unit that they can vote. So personally, I think that's a really, I'd love to see that in the future of vote delegation is, getting people to kind of co-organize and combine all their MKR into a much larger voting weight so that they can have more impacts.
Gotcha. I like that. Thank you.
Yep.
Hey, can you guys hear me?
Yeah, Frank.
Hey,
go ahead.
Yeah.
Hey, Juan. Hey, Dennis. I don't know if you discussed this earlier, but I joined late. So how do you guys plan on communicating with core units with like PE, right? So I'm thinking like when it comes to front end and back end integrations, is that something you guys are going to do weekly, monthly? How's that going to work? And do you see any issues that could arise from front end to back end?
Yeah, definitely. There's definitely issues, and communications between core units is going to just become an even more difficult problem than it was at the foundation. Fortunately, we all have like a lot of good relationships. We have good relationships with the tech ops team and with the protocol engineering team. So we have our own Discord chat, the Dux team, and we have sub channels for communications with each of those teams that we talked about. And a lot of teams have their own communication channels as well. It might improve things when we move from Rocket Chat to a new platform. I think we may be moving to Discord. And that would be a more centralized location to have those talks. One thing the PE team does that we don't do is have these like calling hours or whatever they're called for people to join. So we would join those calls if we needed to discuss something with them. So yeah, right now, basically, we try to invite people into our world. I know maybe that's a little selfish, but it gets people onto our platform. And when we have problems that we need to discuss, we're actively talking to tech ops every day. They're in our channels talking with us about various things, PE team as well. So right now we're working on the best possible solution for that, but we have a lot of like interim solutions right now.
Yeah, I'm sorry for the noise here. So you just reminded me, I met a few people who are like, working with Tally, which is a governance platform, and also Zari, they're going to do a centralized platform. So I was wondering, one of the complaints that I'm hearing is that the forum is too convoluted, right? It's like such a mess that it's hard for a noob to join, right? Are you guys thinking of maybe working out something, and I don't know if that's possible, with the Maker discourse, as far as making it more easier, more attractive? Because I think you guys did a great job with the governance platform, and I'm wondering if you guys have the capability to do something with the discourse, if possible. And again, getting back to the other competing platforms, are you going to kind of, try to keep up with the Joneses, so to speak, when it comes to the governance platform?
Yeah, definitely. So to your first question about improving communication, that's a major thing on our roadmap, and that's something that we as a team have talked about a lot, and it's something we're going to figure out the best approach to that. Like, we don't specifically have any plans to improve the discourse page, although it's something we can bring to the table and talk about internally. But I think it would be something that we'd rather do is find ways to bring communication onto the governance portal. Like you said, the forum can be difficult for people to jump in on and communicate. It works well for some people, but not for everybody. And then, so to find ways to bring the conversation to the portal and more importantly, closer to the polls themselves, closer to the executive votes themselves, so that you don't have to go to all these different places to get the information that you need. And that was one of the things that we talked about, I know with you and with other people, is like having all these different platforms that you need to kind of remember to interact with in order to get all of your information. So even if it's maybe embedding a Discord, embedding a forum post in the tab in a polling page or something like that, we can definitely talk about looking into, I don't know what kind of configurability there is for the forum. I think it's a third party. Maybe there's some options that we can do to improve the UX there. But I think our main focus would be like finding a way to bring that conversation to the portal. And so then your second question about keeping up with the Joneses, yeah, we definitely have our eyes on Tally, Boardroom, Snapshot, and yeah, we're following those projects. We're going to learn from them. We want to potentially bring our platform to them too, so that the Maker brand is out there on these other features as well. We've talked to GovAlpha a little bit about integrating with Snapshot. There are a lot of technical challenges around some of that stuff, but yeah, we've been talking about that quite a bit. So that's on our radar.
That's good. Good to hear. Good to hear. Thank you for that update. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, I'd like to add something more high level, like how we organize the core units regarding the first question. So as was mentioned in one of the slides, so the way that the core unit is structured is that they're specifically focused on a single domain, which is governance user experience, right? And when you read the mission, vision, and strategy, it doesn't start by saying we build the voting portal and that's it. The goal is a high level goal, which is to increase and to improve and build the best governance user experience as possible. And the reason why we structure it that way is because we want teams to consider these kind of factors that you talk about, which, if you really interpret it very narrowly, that would be out of scope for the voting portal. But because the core unit has a broader mission of improving governance user experience, it would be in scope to start a conversation about the fact that the forum really is confusing users and does does not contribute to governance user experience, or organize a roundtable to have to have a brainstorm session about how governance user experience can be improved with the wider ecosystem and so on. As was mentioned, collaborate, integrate with other projects to improve the governance user experience. So those kind of considerations are exactly the reason why we want core units that are focused on a single domain and that have a mission that is not narrowly interpreted as being responsible for keeping this web page online. So that should also help to get a better end result.
Nice. Thanks, Router and team. We are almost at the top of the hour. Are there any additional questions?
I have a question regarding the roadmap. Is there at this point, is there anything on the radar regarding creating more transparency around what goes into an executive vote, especially the spell? There was the feature of the on-chain effects, and I can imagine other mechanisms to improve the transparency for executive spells. Anything you could elaborate on there?
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, for those are the first two bullet points for this, the voting portal improvements. Like when I say manual verification of important data points, that's that's one. We want to add ways for people to either link out to, could be Etherscan, could be ETX, or it could be yet another ability for someone to kind of verify the data that they're seeing on the portal. And then, like you said, the on-chain effects tab, that's one of our highly prioritized things. We want to get that up as soon as possible. We're collaborating with the other team to get that done. So yeah, the visualizations and verifiability of data, like these, to me anyway, are some of the highest priority things that I'm interested in.
So to me, this is super interesting because as the DAO scales, we're getting close to the point where we will have multiple smart contract teams contributing to the spells that are deployed as an executive vote. And the process to coordinate what goes into the spells of the executive votes, for example, will get more decentralized, more parties will get involved. So that might be an interesting avenue to think about how the DAO internally organizes, and the kind of the process that is currently run through Rocket Chat. It's a channel where the different participants, they share what will be included in the executive vote, and then there's a lot of manual work by the Gov Alpha team to collect all that information, make sure that everyone reviews their part. That I thought was something interesting, which could be a future addition to the voting portal to help organize also that internal process of how an executive vote gets even composed, right? And help the different DAO participants to coordinate around that. So if I'll take some time and maybe submit a few ideas to the Frill board. Yeah. So that's one possibility that I'm excited about.
Yeah, that is very cool. And it's, it expands the definition of what the voting portal is capable of. Like right now you think of the voting portal as just a way to vote on things. I mean, we call it the voting portal, but well, actually we call it the governance portal, but sometimes we call it the voting portal. But to include, more capabilities for that. And since spells are such an important part of governance, I think that would fall under our domain.
Sounds great. Thank you. I'll submit those ideas.
Cool.
Phil, before we close, can you maybe comment a bit on the current status of the poll?
Of the poll? Yeah.
Yep.
Last I checked, which was yesterday, I was pretty excited to.
Here is another challenge. You need to do it without bragging.
I'm very pleased to notice that so far we have mostly positive reception on the poll. I haven't noticed any dissenting votes or comments.
By mostly you mean unanimous 100%?
Yeah, we are very excited and honored and thankful for everyone who's voted for us. And yeah, 91,000 on there right now in support. You know, if anyone wants to just put like 0.01 MKR on no, just to kind of like make us feel like there's a chat, like, you know, we need to improve, then go ahead. But no, but very, very thankful to everyone who's excited about our team. It means a lot to us, and it motivates us to do good work. So thank you all.
And for those seeing the recording, where's a good place to find you, ask you questions, contact with the team, submit bugs, features, etc.?
Yeah, definitely. Our Discord, or for features and bugs, we want people to head over to our Frill. Maybe if somebody has that link on the team and they want to jump. And then for anything else, please come to our Discord. Or if you need us to come to your Discord, we will do that. Or if you're old school and you're only on Rocket Chat, we're still there too. So you can reach out to me. I'm at Philip at Rocket Chat on Rocket Chat. But yeah, come on over to our Discord. Dennis posted the link there. Come over to our Frill page. Give us your most wild, outrageous ideas, and we'll see if we can prioritize that.
Sounds great. Any last comments from the DAX team before we close the call?
Just really excited to be part of all of this, and yeah, just looking forward to collaborating with the other core units as well. That's something we are personally really looking forward to, what it's going to look like. But yeah, for now, I think this yeah, covers all of it. So good job, Phil.
Thank you guys
for coming. Appreciate it.
Team, for discussions, we can keep them at forum.makerDAO.com, and yeah, for voting, it's vote.makerDAO.com. Thanks everyone for coming. Have a nice one.
Good.